Welcome back to Random History. I'm the navigator as we explore the little-known events and people that make history such an amazing subject. The events I delve into are probably not ones you learned about in school. These are the ones that when you do hear about them, you're likely to think that they could not possibly be real. But they are. It was pointed out to me that I tend to do a lot of stories on aviators. That is true. And today is no exception. You see, I myself was an aviator in my younger days. And to be honest, since about third grade, that's all I wanted to do. I looked up to these men and women. I read every book I could find on the Wright Brothers, Chuck Yeager, Charles Lindberg, Amelia Earhart, and Jimmy Doolittle. Even some that only the Air Force types listening to may have heard of. Clair Chenault, LeMay, Paul Tibbits. My show today is once again an aviation-themed show. In it, I will talk about a group of women pilots that the Nazis were so afraid of that Hitler himself gave the order to execute them on sight if any were captured. They were the night witches of World War II. Our hero for today saved an entire AC-47 Spooky in Vietnam. He did this by jumping on a burning magnesium flare, holding it close to his body and throwing it out the back of the airplane, all while suffering severe wounds and bleeding profusely. The Night Witches, officially known as the 588th Night Bomber Regiment, were an all-female Soviet Air Force unit during World War II that gained legendary status for their nocturnal bombing missions against Nazi forces. Their story is one of remarkable bravery, ingenuity, and perseverance in the face of overwhelming odds. Today, I delve into the origins, operations, and legacy of the Night Witches, underscoring their significant role in the Soviet war effort and their lasting impact on military history. The Night Witches were born out of necessity during a time when the Soviet Union was under dire threat from Nazi Germany. The German invasion of the Soviet Union in June 1941, known as Operation Barbarossa, put immense pressure on the Soviet military. The early stages of the war were catastrophic for the Soviets, who suffered massive losses in both men and equipment. In this context, Marina Roskova, a famous Soviet aviator, the first female navigator in the Soviet Air Force, petitioned Joseph Stalin to form all-female air regiments. Stalin recognized the dire situation and agreed, and in October 1941, 3 all-female units, Air Force units, were established. The 586th Fighter Aviation Regiment, the 587th Dive Bomber Regiment, and the 588th Night Bomber Regiment, which would later become known as the Night Witches. The 588th Regiment was composed entirely of women, including pilots, navigators, and ground crew. The women who joined were mostly young, many of them barely out of their teens. They underwent rigorous training to prepare for their dangerous missions, learning to fly and navigate in all conditions, especially at night. The regiment was equipped with the Polikarpov PO-2, a biplane that was originally designed for crop dusting and training. Despite its flimsy construction and slow speed, the PO-2 had several advantages for night bombing. It was highly maneuverable, could fly at very low altitudes, and was difficult to detect by German radar due to its low engine noise and wooden frame. The Night Witches began their combat operations in June of 1942, flying their first missions over the North Caucasus. The primary role was to harass German forces by conducting night bombing raids, targeting supply depots, bridges, and other key infrastructure. The regiment operated in small groups, usually consisting of 3 planes, each plane carrying 2 bombs, which were manually released by the navigator. After dropping their payload, the pilots would often circle back to create the illusion of a larger force, disorienting the enemy. The PO-2's low speed, which initially was seen as a disadvantage, became a crucial element of the Night Witch's success. The planes could fly so slowly that they were difficult to target with the German fighter planes, which were designed to intercept much faster, more modern aircraft. Additionally, the pilots often cut their engines as they approached their targets, gliding silently through the night before releasing their bombs. This tactic, combined with the PO-2's near invisibility on radar, made the Night Witches a terrifying and highly effective force. The conditions under which the Night Witches operated were extraordinarily harsh. The PO-2 offered no protection from the elements, leaving the women exposed to freezing temperatures of the night sky. The planes were not equipped with parachutes, as the extra weight would have made it impossible for them to carry bombs. Despite these dangers, the Night Witches flew an estimated 23,000 sorties and dropped over 3,000 tons of bombs during the course of the war. Their bravery earned them great respect both within the Soviet Union and among their enemies. The Night Witches' impact on the war was significant, both materially and psychologically. Their relentless bombing raids disrupted German supply lines and contributed to the overall weakening of the Nazi war effort on the Eastern Front. The Germans came to fear the Night Witches, and any pilot who succeeded in downing one of their planes was awarded the prestigious Iron Cross. However, the Night Witches proved to be an elusive target. By the end of the war, only 30 of the regiment's 261 members had been killed in action, a testament to their skill and determination. Despite their contributions, the Night Witches faced considerable challenges within their own ranks. As women in a male-dominated military, they had to constantly prove their worth. Many male commanders were initially skeptical of the all-female flying regiments, doubting their ability to handle the rigors of combat. The Night Witches, however, quickly dispelled these doubts through their exceptional performance. By the war's end, 23 of the regiment's members had been awarded the title of Hero of the Soviet Union, the highest military honor in the Soviet Union. After the war, the Night Witches disbanded in 1945, and their members returned to civilian life. For many years, their story remained relatively unknown outside of the Soviet Union. However, in recent decades, the Night Witches have gained greater recognition for their contributions to the war effort. Their story has been the subject of numerous books, documentaries, and even a graphic novel, The Night Witches by Garth Ennis. The legacy of the Night Witches lives on as a symbol of courage and perseverance in the face of adversity. The Night Witches of World War II were a unique and highly effective fighting force whose contributions to the Soviet war effort were invaluable. Their story is one of determination, innovation, and resilience. Operating under the harshest of conditions and facing significant skepticism, they proved themselves to be a formidable force. The Night Witches not only helped turn the tide of the war on the Eastern Front, but also challenged traditional gender roles, paving the way for greater recognition of women in military service. Today, their legacy endures as a testament to the courage and capabilities of women in combat. The bravery of the Night Witches is legendary. Today's true hero is another legend in military aviation. John Lee Levitow served as a loadmaster on an AC-47 gunship in Vietnam, where his actions would enshrine him in Air Force legend. John Lee Levitow was a U.S. Air Force Airman First Class who became one of the most celebrated figures in the Vietnam War. He was born on 1 November 1945 in Hartford, Connecticut, and enlisted in the Air Force in 1966. His heroism and quick thinking during a night mission over Vietnam on 24 February 1969 earned him the Medal of Honor, making him one of only 3 Air Force enlisted men to receive this honor during the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War was a protracted conflict that pitted the communist government of North Vietnam and its allies in South Vietnam, known as the Viet Cong, against South Vietnam and its principal ally, the United States. The war began in the 1950s and escalated in the 60s, with U.S. involvement peaking by the late 1960s. During this time, U.S. forces conducted extensive air operations, including bombing missions and support operations like the one that Levitow was involved in. Levitow's defining moment came while he was serving as a loadmaster on an AC-47 Spooky gunship, an aircraft used by the Air Force for close air support and ground attack missions. On 24 February 1969, Levitow's aircraft was flying a night mission over Long Binh, Vietnam, providing illumination for ground troops and performing strikes against enemy positions. The crew was in the midst of dropping magnesium flares when disaster struck. The aircraft was suddenly hit by a Viet Cong mortar shell, which exploded inside the plane. The explosion tore through the aircraft, injuring Levitow and 5 other crew members. Levitow was hit by over 40 pieces of shrapnel and was momentarily stunned by the blast. Despite his injuries, he realized that one of the magnesium flares, which were extremely dangerous and capable of burning at over 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit, had been knocked loose and was rolling around inside the aircraft. If the flare were to ignite inside the plane, it would likely destroy the entire aircraft and kill everyone on board. Levitow, bleeding profusely and suffering from a concussion, crawled toward the flare through the debris-filled fuselage. With immense effort, he managed to grab the flare and, despite his injuries, heaved it out the open cargo door just moments before it ignited. His actions saved the lives of the crew and prevented the aircraft from being destroyed. For his extraordinary bravery and selflessness, Levitow was awarded the Medal of Honor by President Richard Nixon on 14 May 1970. In the citation, Levitow was recognized for his conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity in action at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty. He became the lowest-ranking airman to ever receive the Medal of Honor and the first enlisted airman to receive the award during the Vietnam War. John Lee Levitow's heroism has become a symbol of the dedication and bravery of the U.S. Air Force personnel who served in Vietnam. After the war, Levitow continued to serve in the Air Force until his retirement in 1970 due to his injuries. He later worked in various capacities to support veterans and continued to be an advocate for military personnel. After a battle with cancer, John Lee Levitow passed away on 8 November 2000 at the age of 55. His legacy lives on through numerous honors and memorials, including the John Levitow Award, which is presented to the top graduate of the Air Force's Airman Leadership School. Additionally, the C-17 Globemaster III aircraft, tail number 7175, was nicknamed the Spirit of John L. Levitow in his honor, ensuring that his bravery continues to inspire future generations of Air Force personnel. John Lee Levitow's actions during the Vietnam War exemplify the courage, selflessness, and dedication of those who serve in the U.S. military. His quick thinking and bravery under fire saved the lives of his crew and prevented a catastrophic disaster, earning him the highest military honor the United States can bestow. His story remains an enduring testament to the heroism displayed by American service members during one of the most challenging periods in the nation's history. This brings us to the end of episode 6. I hope you enjoyed the program. I know, as always, I enjoy researching and writing it. I hope you'll continue to listen to my future episodes. You can use the link in the podcast description to view the sources, transcripts, or submit a request for stories you'd like to hear. Until next time, make some history of your own. Navigator out.